It is often easier while discussing oceanic locales to break them up into approximate separate zones. Those zones off the continental shelf are said to be pelagic or oceanic zones, specifically defined by their being non-proximate to the oceanic floor, while those zones on the continental shelf are said to be neritic or coastal zones. These zones are further distinguished by their depth. The epipelagic zone is the outermost oceanic zone and resides within the so-called photic zone of the water, where sufficient sunlight can pass through the water such that photosynthesis can occur. This zone can in open ocean extend down to 200 meters, 650 feet, though the amount of light greatly decreases as one descends. Photosynthetic corals are seldom found in waters deeper than 60 meters, 200 feet, though deep-water non-photosynthetic varieties can be found deeper. As one descends, the water also gets increasingly cooler as the heating the sun provides becomes less and less significant. Below the photic epipelagic zone, you have the aphotic zones. The outermost of these, the Mesopelagic Zone, is between 200 and 1,000 meters. Here, light is rare, and what light that does pass through is insufficient for any photosynthesis to occur. Here is where we find the thermocline, the thin layer between the turbulent mixed layer of the ocean above and the calm, deep water below. Here is also where we start to find the first quote-unquote deep sea animals. As one travels deeper, you find the Bathypelagic Zone, the depth of absolute darkness, the Abyssopelagic Zone, the deepest part of the main ocean, and finally, the deepest of the deep, the Hadopelagic Zone, the deep sea trenches. The deeper you go, the more unusual life tends to be, as animals have become adapted to the absolute darkness and high pressures. Of course, using scuba, you don't get that deep. Generally speaking, standard dives never go below 40 meters, 130 feet, at least in the recreational realm. Technical divers can go deeper using mixed gas mixtures in their tanks, multiple tanks, and having to stop and decompress at each atmosphere so that nitrogen and other inert gases don't build up in their blood, leading to potentially lethal nitrogen sickness, also known as the bends. Deep dives also have the risk of nitrogen narcosis, or the narcs, the so-called rapture of the deep. As you dive deeper, you essentially get drunk off of the nitrogen oxide often used while diving. One informal reference used for it is the so-called Martini's Law, that the effect of the narcosis is equivalent to 1 martini for every 10 meters you travel below 20 meters. The deepest scuba dive on record is 330 meters, or 1,000 feet, just barely into the Bathypelagic Zone. It took him 10 minutes to dive to that depth, but 8 hours and 49 minutes to resurface due to the decompression stops necessary. For reference, the deepest a Navy diver has ever gone in one of the hard atmospheric diving suits was 610 meters, or 2,000 feet. Most of this game takes place on the continental shelf though, so generally speaking, we won't be going very deep, with one notable exception. But that will come later.